why don't we kick it off, and then if people want to come on in, that's great. So, I'm John Feneck with Feneck Consulting, and with me today is CEO of SilverX, José García. It's our first interview together. I met José last year at Beaver Creek, and we were looking for up and coming silver and gold companies at that conference, and SilverX really had a lot of interesting news flow. I know a couple of you are already shareholders here as I look through the names, but I think that given the backdrop of what's happened since last week in the financial market, silver and gold are starting to see some real buying that is not the usual type of buying that I'm seeing. Gold just broke through 1900 with absolutely no resistance whatsoever this week, and silver will tend to lead gold on certain days, as you've seen this week, and other days just follow. So it's going to be a bumpy ride. There's no guarantees, as you've seen with the Fed watch tool here over the last 3-4 days. It's changed from a 50 basis point hike to a 25 hike, and today you're seeing a probability of only a 40% hike of any sort happening on March 22nd. So I'd like to get your feeling, Jose, about what you think about the entire the environment for silver at some point during the call here, given what we've seen, because I think you're seeing a safe haven bid across the industries, right? And I think that's going to be bullish for a company like yours and others going forward. But first, let's kick it off with just giving us maybe a 8 to 10 minute overview of the opportunity and what you see in Peru.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Thank you for having us today. I'm very glad to be here, and thank you everyone for attending this webinar. I think it's great we can talk to you guys. We're very excited about this year, not just because of this financial turmoil, but because it's a very good year for SilverX in terms of production, in terms of exploration, and the consolidation of our activities. For those who have been following us over the last year and a half, approximately, that we've been public, we had a very good flow of news regarding both exploration and resources and production. And I think that what builds to the story of SilverX. What is important to highlight, especially in this changing environment, is that SilverX is a producer. And it's a producer meaning that it's not only generating cash flow, it's generating free cash last year as of Q3. And it's important because in turbulent times, it's a safer value for everyone, right? Especially in face of a potential run in the silver prices, right? And gold prices as well. I think that's very important. Also, it's very important because I like brownfield expansion, meaning that we are a company with production, very small production compared to the large portion of land and the occurrences that we have in our district. In other words, the best way to find mines is typically where you had all mines, and we own one of those districts that are going to go for decades, right? So I think, again, that SilverX is both value given the markets, but also value given the resources that we have and we are going to grow. But anyway, I'll try to be quick. I'll flip over the presentation over a few minutes, and feel free then to stop me anytime. John, if that's okay, I'm going to share my presentation.
Sure.
Okay. Which is basically the one we delivered at PDAC a couple of weeks ago. And obviously, I'm going to make some forward-looking statements, perhaps during the presentation. I just FYI. We have the mission to become that mid-tier silver company across the Americas, okay? And we do it by looking at these historical districts, coming with a different exploration view, very aggressive on exploration and production. And I think we developed that competitive edge. So we're going to do this a number of times. We've proven to do it right, just in central Peru, and we intend to replicate over the years. SilverX is a company that has already proven organic growth. Okay, we've gone from basically an inferred resource. We own hundreds of veins of these silver, gold, lead and zinc structures in a very prolific district, and we've done 3 resource updates. We doubled the resource in the second upgrade, and we actually now is taking 4 times the measured and indicated. That's pretty impressive, and it's impressive because our discovery cost or discovery effectiveness both are really, really competitive. First, because there's so many veins that our exploration is extremely efficient. But second, because we are developing an underground mine at the same time we're drilling, and that allows us to do things on a fast track. Our land package is very prolific. I'll try to demonstrate that with some long sections and plan views. And also Silver X's value, because as I said, we are in production. We just declare commercial production. So we formalize that thing of being a producer. And we already published a PA that is telling you that within 3 years' time, approximately, depending on construction decision, gonna go for 2 to approximately 6 million ounces of silver equivalent. So 6 million ounces already qualified for that so-called mid-tier mining company, okay? And that's the whole thing, and we're trying to prove that. Our catalyst has been already put in place, if you like. Peru is obviously a primary jurisdiction for silver since the times of the colony, right? Like 500 years of silver mining. I think we're the second largest producer of silver. We are the first silver country in terms of reserves. And needless to say that in this central area of Peru, there's some of these historical silver mines. Recuperada, or Huachocolpa district, is one of those districts that for some reasons got overlooked over decades, okay? But we came with that more ambitious view and we actually picked a prolific land package. For the sake of simplicity, we divided that package in 2 projects. Tangana, which is the north, and that's where we've been drilling, upgrading our resource, and producing. And again, I'm going to emphasize that we have a processing facility, it's fully functioning. These days it's passing 650 tons a day, flat out, with recoveries, everything's for real, okay? And that project is basically 90% of our resource at the moment. So it's become a reality. But there's a second project called Plata. Plata in Spanish means silver. It's very high grade of silver. And that's something we're going to activate this year. We're already working on it. We're modeling resources. We'll make it compliant. And so to start production within less than 2 years. In other words, 2 million ounces of silver equivalent becoming 6, okay? And that's all very solid, very tangible, because we are there, we are doing it. We are a company that it's been built basically when we were private. We did that on a budget, basically with our own money, with friends and family. We had our skin in the game, and that's also important to our investors because we are invested, heavily invested, okay? Since going public about 18 months ago, we've only raised 13 plus $3 million, so $16 million. If you compare that with other juniors across the board, you will see that it's way less, especially if you take into account we've done exploration and we built a mine, okay? We built a mine between the end of 2021 and now, and you can see that during 2022, we got to the cruise speed with maximum production of almost 200,000 ounces of silver equivalent in the month of August because of the grade effect. That's why we declare commercial production in January. So SilverX is done that in a very short span of time and with little money. And that's great. And we were proposing 3 catalysts for 2023. The PEA on the expansion of Tangana is done. We are advancing very rapidly on the new environmental impact assessment for Tangana, meaning that by year ends, we expect to have approval of this new environmental instrument for the expanded footprint. In other words, next year, in 2 years' time, we are free to make a decision on whether to construct the new mill. That's good. Permitting and technical studies at the same time, okay? Fast track. And then again, we're gonna activate the second project, that's Plata, okay? We're gonna see news on that project over the next few months. The PA was very solid. I think this very robust economics, for this kind of deposits is $200 million, almost $200 million NPV for a very modest capex. But more importantly, taking the mine to 4.2 million ounces of silver a year. I think that already is a very solid case. It's gonna be a really good mine. And by the way, the Tangana mine in Neonet's got tens of veins, and the PA is being based only on a handful of them. Basically, our measured and indicated resource is containing 3 veins. And that's impressive. That means over the next few years, we're gonna be able to upgrade that quantity, okay, continuously.
Jose, can we stay on that slide for a minute? So just for everyone's edification, on February 14th, this was launched publicly. So you can check out the news on the SilverX website. But just running through this, and Jose, just jump in if I'm wrong, but majors, whether they're mid-tiers or larger companies, are looking for a life of mine, that LOM of 10 plus years, right?
That's right, John. I think that's right. We are looking at 12 years mine life just with this first pass on the PA, which our resource, which obviously, as I said, will be upgraded. So I can see Tangana going larger or higher throughput, either of the two.
And this would not include the January numbers where we saw that exponential growth in production, right? I mean, because you have to cut off, I'm sure, at a certain date before you were to produce something like this.
Yes, indeed, that's different. It's separate from those numbers, yes.
Okay. And the AISC, the all-in sustaining cost, isn't here, but it's around 16.2. Is that correct?
That is correct. What's more relevant is that our cash cost is below $9 per ounce. I think that's really competitive. And when it comes to the AISC, obviously it includes the financing, and it includes taxes, and of course all the corporate overhead. I want to draw your attention to that we do an AISC including even the corporate overhead, because at the moment Tangana is the only project in production. Okay,
that's a good point. Okay, thank you.
Just again, more of the same. Metal prices, NPV at 10% after tax of $175 million. Okay, that's at 10%. At 8% is 198. It's a very attractive IRR. It's a very attractive cash cost. Okay, for those who are interested, you can check the presentation afterwards and see the numbers. Just so you know, the capex is approximately $60 million US. We believe we can do better than that. Obviously, the capex is being proposed by our external consultants. We can do much about it, but we believe we're going to do it cheaper. Okay, that's part of our upside. It's not something we can propose. Okay, but needless to say that we are doing mine development, building a new flotation mill, and on top of that, we are building a modern dry stacked tailings facility with a new mine, with a new case. This is a snapshot of the Tangana mining unit. It's very long, takes 10-11 kilometers. Those veins are very long on a strike, and they have several hundred meters of vertical extent. And what we are doing, since we built the mine a year and a half ago, is just discovering more and more resources. At the moment, we are almost flat out in terms of production, and it's only from one vein. Okay, and when you look at this district, these tens of veins inferred on surface, but recognized at depth. Okay, the good news is that Tangana has got good grades, so it's going to be profitable. And when you look at the resource, as I said, we've done a number of updates since we went public. And I'm really happy with the last one because it's, for the first time, containing a large quantity of measured and indicated resources. Immense majority of that resource will be converted to our reserves. Why is that? Because it's good grade. So as you can see, we're looking at something in between 11 or 12 ounces of silver equivalent. That's profitable in the kind of mining we do with the cost structure that we do. Okay. And this is just an aerial view of Tangana. As you can imagine, we're in central Peru in Huancavelica. This is extremely hilly, okay? This is a Google Earth view with our veins sort of inferred in the picture. More importantly, what I want to tell you is that Tangana, on a plan view, actually, well, before that, gonna talk about our long section, which is exactly what is happening today. You can see some of the mining activities or the mining areas. You can see some of the drilling that we've done before, which is obviously intended to extend those ore shoots on a vertical extent, a depth, and also on a strike. Okay, we were very lucky because also we found gold in the system. As you see on some of the news releases we published last year, we identified gold within our veins, which obviously comes from the concentrates. We also identified disseminated gold on the wall rocks, which is an exploration opportunity, and we've identified disseminated gold on surface, which is even a larger opportunity for us. So in 2023, we're going to see some news on that gold prospects. Okay, we anticipate that Huachocolpa, Tangana, is not only a silver or argentiferous project, it's an argentiferous and gold, also silver and gold project. That's something we're going to keep on proving over the next few months. Okay, More of the veins, very good values, okay? We're just drifting across, going from one another and making sure that we activate them quickly. And this is an idea that I wanted to tell you today, that we have tens of veins just in this neighborhood, and we're mining only one. So over the next few years, gonna go quickly across many of them, chasing always a higher grade, quick development, quick drilling, left and right, okay? And now I'm gonna mark the area that I said is the disseminated gold target, okay? I think you should be seeing some news, perhaps next quarter, maybe Q2, okay, about that target. And just a very short summary. I was extending myself maybe too long. 2022 was a good year. We built a mine. We achieved really good production levels, okay? We were making cash as of Q3. Q1 this year, we did a PA as promised, and I think it's a pretty good PA, and we're advancing with the permitting for the expanded case, okay? I think we have a solid case for organic growth. I think there's very few deals on the industry where you can see a mine who is producing, who is making cash, being able to expand over time so clearly, okay? And on top of that, we believe that SilverX at some point is gonna have a better currency. We hope the markets get to know us better. Thank you for being here, because that's extremely important. We want to get better known in the market, want to have a better currency. I want to do this a number of times. We want SilverX to be a vehicle for merger and acquisitions over the years, because we believe that what we are doing here, we're going to be able to replicate. And as many stories of Pan American Silvers and the first Majestics and the Endeavor Silvers, we dream of being the next one. I know that's very, very bold from my side, but I think that's our intention, and I want to make that clear. And finally, because it's very important to us, as I said, we built a company here locally in Peru. We've done it hand in hand with the community since the beginning. More than 60% of our workforce is from the very local community. Every other service other than our mining activities hire with local companies, so-called community companies, including the earth transportation, the civil works, the food, everything, okay? Which is hundreds of people employed directly or indirectly with us. But more importantly, we have a passion for environment and a sort of social stewardship. Just this quarter, we've created even a foundation, the Huachocolpa Foundation, through which we intend to channel a number of initiatives, right? Not only by SilverX, but also by other stakeholders. I think we are proven to the mining industry that even if you're a junior in production, even if you are not a big company, you can do things very, very well. And that's what's happening in Huancavelica. One final comment, directors and executives, and then obviously the share structure. You have myself now presenting. I'm a mining engineer, Spanish background, global career. We actually have Sebastian Val, also co-founder of the company and VP Corporate Development. He's also director, of course. Ronald Marinho is our CFO. He sits in Toronto. I'm in Lima. Okay, and we have a new VP IR, Fiona Grant, perhaps known to some of you. She brings a very long career in the mining industry. We have 3 directors. Francis Johnston represents Baker Steel. Before I talk about the share structure, so one of the cornerstone investors that we have, Baker Steel, supported us since the times we were private. Is actually the largest shareholder of the company, alongside myself and Sebastian Val. So Francis Johnston also reports as an insider. And we have Daryl Cardy, very known to the Vancouver crowd, and Mike Hoffman in Toronto, former chair of Trevally. Share structure, basically 156 million shares, fully diluted is 175. As I said, it's basically a third, is not 29, it's probably 33% insider ownership, okay? And institutional money is Baker Steel, US Global, Earth Resource Investment out of Switzerland, and Sprott Asset Management. If you want to read some of the analyst reports, I would encourage to read Echelon through Gabriel Gonzalez and Red Cloud Securities through Timothy Lee, okay? 2 very good reports giving us target prices in between 80 cents and $1. Okay, at the moment, I think today we're at $31, 31 cents, not $31 yet, but on our way. And yes, there's another slide just to say that we believe SilverX is not fully valued. I think there's a number of reasons. People have been reluctant to invest on Peruvian companies. I think SilverX is not well recognized in the market yet, but the moment investors realize that we are in production, that we have these terrific silver and polymetallic assets, I think it's a no-brainer. I think Silver X is a winning horse, and I appreciate your time and support over the months, because I think that if you invest on our shares, we are going to make some good money for you. So that's all I wanted to say, John. I think that's my presentation, and we can do questions.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jose. I'll kick it off, and then if anyone has questions, if you could just please type them into the chat, and then I'll take a look at them and see if we can ask Jose the question. First off, Jose, great job, and I really like the project. One of the things that struck me at the two dinners that I've been at with SilverX over the last few months is the quality of mining investors that are at the event, right? Like they have other choices that they can make at big events like Vancouver or Toronto, but you were able to draw Chen Lin, Brian London, Adrian Day, Jeff Christian. I mean, real heavyweights to me in the mining space. That first to me is an endorsement of what you and Sebastian and the team were able to do, and congratulations on that. Secondly, you pointed out the mill expansion there. I mean, you put up a graph there, a graphic of expanding from about 720 to 1500 TPD. You must be, thinking about building a second mill to do that, correct?
That's it. It's not that we're expanding the current mill. We're building a new mill. So it's going to be 1500 today, and the current mill will be processing ore from other projects that we have in the district. As I said, we are going to activate the second project. So by 2025, 2026, we'd like to have 2 mines with 2 mills. Okay.
Okay. And if I heard you correctly, you're looking to go from 2 million silver equivalent ounces to 6 million in the next 3 years, roughly?
That's correct.
Okay. Last one for me, and then we'll open it up. The management ownership on that pie chart at 29% is pretty significant versus the peer group, wouldn't you say? Or am I wrong?
I think that's right. I'm not an expert on that, but I believe that finding companies with a third, 33% or 30% ownership is pretty significant. And that actually defines the way we work. We're a bunch of executives that work for our equity, and we're extremely well aligned with our investors, right? I think that's important as well.
That's great. One of the slides I may have missed, but the share structure, do you have anything that you can speak to there in terms of fully diluted or just what the outstanding looks like, please?
Yeah, the outstanding, basically we have 157 million shares, plus another 16, 17. So basically 175 fully diluted. That includes some warrants. When we did our last financing in October, by the way, it was at 22 cents with half a warrant for 2 years at 33 cents. Okay, so basically we have like 7 million warrants outstanding, and approximately 10 million options, I believe. But I will have to check the numbers. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That gives us a ballpark. Thank you. Any questions so far? Let's see. Yeah, that's a great question, Brent. Can you comment, Jose, on the current jurisdictional risk that you perceive with Peru? And since you live in Lima, I'm sure you have a better understanding than most people that are freaking out about Peru over the last 2 years.
Yeah, the situation that the country has been going through is very concerning. It's been very sad. I mean, saying those confrontations and that level of social unrest is frightening, right? I think Peru is a country that has been in troubles for quite some time, not to say forever. But the last 10, 15 years, we had governments let's say they were very weak governments. So we came to a point where populism took over on both sides of the spectrum, by the way. Since President Castillo was elected it was July 2021. By the way, as an anecdote, we took the company public, I believe, just the very week of the election when Mr. Castillo got elected. So it was not very wow. Timely. But it was what it was, right? It's okay. We can live with that. So the country had about 18 months of instability or lack of governance, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually, when President Castillo tried to do a not very smart move, trying to shut down the Congress, he got impeached, right?
Right.
That created a number of confrontations. We've seen the country having difficult times, as I said, but the situation here is not that complicated, okay? while people are, or some people are claiming to have elections ASAP, and I believe it will happen either late this year or early 2024, I think the situation is way more calm now, and nothing is really happening or, let's say, affecting the mining industry. What's also really important to understand for every investor is that not only that mining is the main engine of the economy, but actually there is no anti-mining talks in Peru. You've seen large projects like Las Bambas, of MNG, and things like that having, let's say, a number of events over the last 10 years. But in reality, the country is an extremely pro-mining country, including all the Andean communities. For instance, in Huancavelica, where we are, mining is not only that it's been there for 500 years, but actually is the main activity. And people have the pride of being miners, okay? Mm-hmm. We have a really great relationship with our communities, and even in this turmoil, there was no single friction with them, right? We had some disruptions in the supply chain, given that diesel, explosives, and other supplies couldn't get there as Lima got blocked. But reality is that we are operating under normal circumstances at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else with a question?
I have a question, if I can just ask it.
Sure.
Hey guys, hey Jose. My first question, I was looking at the price to NAV, and I was wondering if you kind of have a production level. I know you're talking about getting to 6 million. I mean, is there like something like a production level in your head that you think will get to a certain production, and then looking at peers that produce that, what would the price to NAV be? So is there like a number that you think you have to reach for that to move?
Okay, so if I understand correctly, you're asking me what the production level is for us to be having better comparables compared to a better group of peers and things like that. So is that what you're asking for?
Yeah. So I was seeing the comparable price to NAV. I was trying to understand what they produce. What's the amount of silver they produce? I'm not sure if you think about it that way, but maybe you don't. Yeah. But is there a? I mean, I know that 6 million is a number you would like to reach. I mean, based on that, do you think there's a price to NAV that you would expect to be at?
Yeah, I'll try to be concise, because I think obviously this is a conversation of a speculative nature, but 6 million ounces producers or 8 million ounces producers are in the hundreds or close to a billion. I'm going to give you an example. Endeavor Silver, I think, produced something like 8.5, okay? Maybe I'm mistaken, 8.5 million ounces. That's $1 billion company, okay? There is other companies, and when they were producing 6 million ounces, they were $1 billion anyway. Being conservative, when we grow this district, we're going to be a company in the hundreds of millions of market cap. Not only because we have lots of resources and lots of production, but actually because we're going to do it profitably, okay? If you add some of the other high quality targets that we have, I mean, we're going to go there. That's also why we bet on M&A at some point. First, we want to demonstrate the markets that we are a good team to build mines, to explore, to work hard. And when we do that once or 2 times or 3 times, right, we want to boost our market cap. I think at the moment where we are a $1 deal, but that's obviously what I have to say, right? And I believe it strongly. But the moment we add a second operation, whether it happens in our district or elsewhere, you are going to see SilverX being recognized. And if you run a comparison on value, let's say dollar value per ounce of silver in the ground, we're one of the lowest, okay? Yeah. And that means that there is a long way to go here, okay? We'll continue to work hard, especially on the operation side, to have the markets recognize that, right?
That's a good discussion. Thanks, guys. And just to follow up on that, Jose, I constantly talk about silver juniors having a lot of leverage to the price of silver. Have you done anything publicly that you can share that would kind of give us an idea of, for every dollar in silver, increase in price, like what that means to your bottom line?
Actually, we haven't, to be very honest. Okay. I do some very quick reflection on that, especially given that silver and gold, first silver, secondary metal would be gold, are about 65, 70%, 75% of our revenues. Let's say in this changing environment, we had a price increase of 10, 15%, we're going to make another probably 30% margin on top. Okay.
Okay.
It's all free cash. Anything that comes on top is free cash. So again, when I see silver at $27, $28, or even gold go beyond 2100, I think we're going to make a lot of cash.
Okay. And then a follow-up to that one. Are you hedging anything right now? Any production?
Oh, not really. We are committed to a large trader, Strafigura, in terms of delivering all the concentrates for the next couple of years. But it's just at the LME prices. There's no hedging, no nothing, right?
Good. Okay, that's good to hear. I think one more question came in here, and then let's see. So here comes a curveball. I like it, Brent. Thanks. Outside of silver market volatility, which we can't predict, what are the other headwinds that SilverX may face this year?
Headwinds. Well, obviously, any disruptions in the operations, that'd be challenging. Of course, we're working hard. As I said, we have a passion to work with our communities on the social fronts. I think we're doing a good job there. In terms of supply chain, that's it. In terms of the geology or the resource, I think we have a good resource, and actually the resource is way larger than our mine plan. So I think there is ways to have flexibility and optionality within the mine. I think we're going to be able to achieve the grades and the tonnages. Okay, those would be actually the biggest two ways: achieving grade and tonnage, and obviously having social disruptions. I think we're doing a good job. In the terms of the volatility, I hope it plays in our favor. But yeah, that's all I can say. I much prefer to talk about the tailwinds.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, I just mentioned the price, the silver price, right? And the gold price. Yeah. That'd be a huge tailwind for us. And on top of that, again, I think that for us doing these things is very important because we want to get more investors, high quality investors like yourselves. And we want to make sure that when we do more things, we get followed, because we really want to make sure that we have some traction.
No, that's understandable. Thank you. I don't see any other questions. Anyone else want to jump in before we wrap?
I can say something, John. I mean, so we're investors, and we've worked with Jose for a year now, even his predecessor as well. But to I think Brent's question and one of your other guys, listeners or viewers' question, I can share actually specific numbers which really shows undervalued of AGX. So I mean, we invest in a lot of companies, so we work with quite a few, and we're also an operator ourselves for the last 10 years, as you know, with a similar size company. So this is actually the metric from BMO pages. So I'll let the numbers do the job. There's a wall of number here, but this is kind of the cash cost per ounce from the majors. So as of last quarter, you have Core, Fresnillo, First Majestic. So you're actually looking at a very competitive cost per ounce if you look at where SilverX stands. And then lastly, the price per NAV on a weighted average basis, you're trading at generally low teens or sort of low ones in a way. And right. I can speak about the NAV and MPV. SilverX is trading around 50 million market cap, right? Like these guys are easily trading at 4 times that, basically. So even on a very conservative basis on the resource alone that came out with the PEA, SilverX is cheap, and then let alone the cash cost, right? I mean, SilverX is around 2.4 million ounces a year. Some of these guys are 30 million ounces a year equivalent, 28. On the smaller side, Endeavor's 9. I think Fortuna. You got to keep in mind some of these guys are almost cheating because they're now doing gold equivalents, right? So you produce 100,000 ounces, now that's 8 million ounces. You can't find 8 million ounces silver easily, right? So you got to put that in perspective. And now just kind of go over the next one really quickly. Happy to share this afterwards, but on a price per NAV cash flow basis, the PE on most miners are in the 20, 30 times, right? So SilverX should be considered a small producer. So you should be putting a forward earning ratio of at least 15 and 25 to 1, right? So if you can squeeze out an EBITDA of 4 or 5 million a year this year, SilverX should be easily 100 million plus. That's at least double. So pretty conservative basis, right? And this is straight from stats end of last month, right? Of all the global juniors and majors and by BMO, right? So very, very accurate stats.
Yeah, that's good information, Jerry, and that's current information and 3 weeks old. So that's nice to see. Thank you for that.
That was very insightful.
Yeah.
So, in summary, I've said this to everyone on the call a couple times. We were really negative on Peru when we first saw the news with Castillo, and obviously we got out of the way of that, with the exception of one holding that we still have conviction in and still own. But what I saw last fall was sort of, Castillo moving more to the center in the summer, and then even more so in the fall, and then him getting impeached really, to me, was a great opportunity to start buying stocks like SilverX, Aftermath Silver, little companies that are either developers or explorers or even producers in the case of SilverX, where there's opportunity that the prices just haven't come back. And take it from someone like Jose versus myself, who actually lives in Peru. You can have a conversation with him for 5-10 minutes offline, and he can share with you what he sees on a day-to-day basis. But I do remember the day he was impeached, Jose and I were texting, because I went to my 4 or 5 CEOs that live over there and said, hey, what do you think about this? And they all said the same thing. Like, it's like, this is a game changer, and the market missed it, right? Because silver was at 18 to 19 bucks an ounce and no one cared, right? So like now, as we see the financial backdrop I referenced at the onset, I think silver is going to get a lot more attention, as well as gold, as we move forward, because look at the environment we're in, guys and ladies. I mean, it's just very challenging, and when you look at true value out there, it's amazing. I'll leave you with this, because everyone knows Morgan Stanley, right? Morgan Stanley is one of my best clients, for the last 25 years. It's the largest broker dealer in the world. I was watching Carter Worth yesterday, who is a CNBC guy, a technician, way better at technicals than myself, and he was pointing out on a chart from 2000, year 2000, so just after the .com, the high of Morgan Stanley stock was 91.30. 91.30, let's call it 91 bucks. It traded at $89 on his podcast yesterday. So it's literally made no money, but then you adjust for inflation, and Morgan Stanley's down 44% over the last 23 years. And that's the largest financial institution for what I've done for my whole career, the largest client I can call on, the best in breed, and it's down almost 50% over the course of 23 years. So when we get a knock in our sector about, hey, there's no place to put my capital, it's like, I think people need to look at what they're actually buying. And I think smart people are going to start looking at this and say, holy cow, I'm actually not making any money over here. And look at these beaten up stocks in the mining sector and just trading at ridiculously low valuations. And I think that time is coming faster than I expected now that we've seen these meltdowns over the last week. So I think it's going to be a really interesting 12 months going forward. And I really appreciate your time today, Jose. Thanks a lot for coming on and joining us.
No, thanks to you and to everyone, John. It's fun to listen to you guys. And obviously we're excited about 2023 again, not because of the markets, but because of our activities. I think it's going to be a great year, and we hope to be in touch with you very, very frequently.
Likewise. Thanks a lot, Jose. Have a nice day, everyone.
Bye-bye.